Hello, everybody. So, my whole mountain came out with this. So basically, it's in to be stricter rules on social media in terms of more or less. I'm reading in between the lines of what Leo. I will describe in a second, give an example. But reading in between the lines is that you probably won't be able to record politicians anymore. So first of all, because I think this is what they're kind of saying. You won't be able to record them or ask them questions. Film them. Which again, that's what the media do and things like that. So, and only Joe Soul like myself could go up to a politician, obviously not push it into his face, obviously, and then knock him down to the ground and start filming and things like that. But ask him a reasonable question to his face and video it if you want to wish to show it to the constituents or whatever. You're entitled to do that. That's what the mainstream media do. Well, that's what they kind of do. That's what they don't do the proper job. Yeah, but teacher Miguel Martin, this comes after Leo Varadkar was in the nightclub, and again, I'm sure people have seen the video. I'm not going to comment too much on it, but it's just the fact, he was in the public area, he was in the public, he was in a business, he was in the business, he was in the public, he wasn't at home or anything like that. He was in the public area. The person, at the end of the day, it was in a nightclub. People around the nightclub. It was not a private building type stuff. If it's in Leo, it'd be different if the person went to Leo Varadkar's home and started videoing him in his home, like going out to his sitting room and everything, filming him in his home. Um, but this is in a nightclub. Only members of the public go around. It's not like we can stop people from filming. And again, it's the same in public. The rules in public and film in public. It is specifically said you can film in public. There's nothing really that anybody can do to stop you, unless you're in a restricted area, an army base or something like that, or a government building maybe. But if I went onto the street there, I could film to my heart's content. I can film anybody I want. They can do anything. At the end of the day, there's not really much rules in basically stopping you from unless you're in restricted areas, as I say, government building or something like that. But at the end of the day, this is what every government wants to do. Is stop people filming, stop people asking questions. We've seen Simon Coveney last week, I think by the Irish, it was the Irish Inquiry, I think it was, asked a few hard questions to his face on camera. And again, these are the things that people want to know. These are the questions the mainstream media are not asking politicians, take for example. And only people have the right to go up and ask a politician and the film that was spot, so even just ask them one question or two questions to their face and put it up in the story, the Instagram story on Facebook or whatever. They wish, because at the end of the day they're being paid by the public. I understand, he wasn't in a political role at the time. He was being videoed and things, but again, he was in a nightclub, he was in the public area. Obviously, again, it's the way he behaved, whatever. It's not really up to me to judge, I suppose. But but trying to kind of, and Micheál Martin coming out with this new era of strict social media rules now implemented, says Micheál Martin, following the wake of Leo Varadkar's video. But again, this is what I might be jumping the gun here, but I think you can read in between the lines in here and saying in his head that I don't want any member of the public, you or me, going up and filming a politician right on the street and asking the question. Because again, they get it very hard. The mainstream media, it's all written out beforehand, asking the question. They won't ask any hard questions, but it's all written out beforehand. It's all handed to the government before they go on to any show like primetime news talk, whatever. They don't get any shockers basically of questions. They don't get any hard hitting questions like in the minute of the moment, basically giving them a minute to answer. To think of a response around it. That's all written down. The response is all written down, etc., etc., etc. But when it's on the street, no one remember. Like you say, if I went up now in the morning, and I happened to come across, I don't know, Darrell O'Brien, the housing minister, right up, and I went up to Dublin. I happened to come across him on the street. I asked him about his housing, your housing for all policy, things that I can ask him. How many houses does he expect to build? Where does he expect to get the people to build these houses? I'm entitled to that as a citizen because again I'm paying tax. My taxes are going to pay him, and to pay civil servants and things that I'm entitled. They're not above. Basically, they're not above being questioned by the public. And if I wanted to film him, I'm perfectly entitled. So I could say at least then, because again the mainstream media could outrage us. A member of the public got up and asked the politician the question. But at least then you could say, if you're filming the politician right then, at least you can say you didn't say something like a politician says, oh, you accused me of doing this, and you accused me of being this and that and the other. At least you could say, here's the video, actually I didn't, I didn't, here's the proof. I asked you about this, but you're saying I done that. So, in that regard too, it's good. Just to say, if it wasn't edited or something like that, obviously, it done in safer means. But, as I say, I hope maybe I'm jumping the gun basically. But I always feared this would happen, that they would try and stop people filming politicians or asking questions to say you're perfectly entitled to it. The film, as again, particularly as you're a public representative and things like that, you're open to be asked questions at any point. Basically, you could walk along the street and a member of the public could see you and they voted for you, and they could go and ask and say, I voted for you in the election. You said you would do this. You would get more hospital beds in our local hospital, and there hasn't been one extra added. And you have to explain yourself. You have to ask him, explain himself on the street, and why they should vote for you again. Why should they trust you again? And why you're there gathering dust in Darlane or Shannon or wherever it may be, or even in the local council chambers or whatever. At the end of the day, the people are the power. The people are the power. The people are the vote. They rely on the public to vote them in to get their money, basically, in other words. So it's they're on our luxury, basically. But again, as I say, they did a while ago, there was a thing they wanted to stop people filming on Garda Síochána Conall. Now, obviously, some people do film, and I would say, this is just touching on this, but I think it's, obviously the girls should have a body camera, first of all. But I think it's right that only people can film the girls too. The reason why, even though they might put it up on social media or they might use it just to be safe, because again, I know some people who could just film, if they were stopped by the guards, just, I don't know, for a taillight broken or something like that, they might just film this, just to make sure the guard doesn't do anything or anything like that. Because again, some guards can be a bit over the top in terms of small little things. They can go lunatic very quickly, and as we've seen, some guards have been dealing with drugs and different things. So, people are cautious of that. So it's understandable, a person might just want to take their phone and just film it, or even just to get the audio. So basically they could say, at least when they went to, if it did go to court or anything like that, they'd be able to say, no, look at here, this, I didn't say this to this guard. There's all the evidence, And that's reasonable enough. I'm sure you would agree, that's reasonable enough. That's not going too much. But unless somebody's using it for deceit purposes, just to say, oh, look at the, this, that, But again, I know people have their privacy, and I know the politicians are private. They are people at the end of the day. Even though I might not agree with a lot of them, but I might doubt about some of them being human. But anyway, but at the end of the day, particularly being tarnished, though, first of all, or being Taoiseach, you have a very high office, and you're not really above anybody filming you. You obviously should be expected at any point going out to any place. You should be expected to be filmed. Being in the two highest offices in the land, apart from the presidency, obviously. But yeah, it's just my opinion. But I don't think we should go whatever me whole mountains coming out with. I honestly do think it's what I said before, that what this just outright stop people from filming, making the criminal effects. For you just to go up and ask a question to a politician and putting it on social media. I know people might say you might ask the consent, but again, in the rules of in the law of the land, you don't really have to, because again, the public figures, and they're answerable to you at any point, and that's as simple as that. As a member of the public, because they do represent you, and that you voted them in. So it's it's basically fair game, to be totally honest. But yeah, that's just my 50 cents on the topic. But I honestly seen this coming a long time ago. It could happen. I could be just one jumping the gun being conspiracy theorist 2.0. But again, it's just it's something in the background we're always thinking about too, because then again, if that does come into play, right, we would have to rely on hearsay. Hearsay. I talked to this politician. He said this, that. And we have to rely on hearsay. We don't have any proof, basically. At least with a video or anything, have proof. You have evidence, but you have to rely on the mainstream media, RT and all that, and God forbid, God bless us and save us if we did. It wouldn't be much use. RT wouldn't ask any questions. Like, they won't ask any questions, any tough questions. Like, you see yourself, like, the government should have fell about 5 years ago at this point. The government should be not there at the moment. The government that's here at the moment, Fianna Fáil to get the coalition should have collapsed long ago. If the media was any good in this country, we would say that it would have collapsed by now. Particularly again, Leo, what he done with his link, in private files, government documents to his friends. The media should have went on a frenzy, worked on overdrive to take him down. But no, they didn't. They were all protecting Leo. But anyway, that's the Scottish government for you. Thank you.